Hi everyone, welcome to Legal Talks by Desi Kanoon. I am Suyash and I am excited to have started this show. On today's show, we will talk about another judicial pronouncement by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of Rajkumar Sabu versus Sabu Trade Private Limited. In this case, vide order dated 7th of May 2021, Section 406 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 that talks about power of the Supreme Court to transfer criminal cases was discussed. And what is Section 406 of the Code of Criminal Procedure? 406 states that the Supreme Court may transfer any case or appeal from one criminal court of a high court to another criminal court of another high court, and it may do so when it is expedient for the ends of justice. And Section 406 subsection 2 provides that the Supreme Court may act under this section only on the application of the Attorney General of India or of a party interested. So only the affected parties can move the Supreme Court, or the Attorney General of India can move the Supreme Court. Any other party cannot come to the court and seek transfer of a criminal case. And Section 406 subsection 3 provides that when any application under this section is dismissed and the court is of the opinion that such application was frivolous or vexatious, then the court may order applicant to pay compensation to the other party. So keeping this in mind, let us discuss the facts of the case at hand. In the present case, transfer of a criminal trial from the court at Salem, Tamil Nadu to Patiala House Court, New Delhi was sought by the petitioner. Basically, a private complaint was filed before a magistrate in respect of illegal use of a trademark, and in the said criminal trial, the evidence of prosecution witnesses was over and the matter was fixed for appearance of the accused. At this stage, the petitioner had sought transfer of the criminal trial. It is also pertinent to note that some civil suits were also filed in the said trademark dispute matter between the respondents and the petitioner, and the civil suits were filed at the behest of the respondents, and the same were transferred by the Supreme Court from Salem to New Delhi in the year 2018. Now let us discuss the grounds that were taken by the petitioner in this case. According to the petitioner, the point involved in the criminal case was similar to the one in the civil suits that were being contested in Delhi. So according to the petitioner, the criminal case should also be transferred to Delhi. It was also contended that the proceedings in Salem, Tamil Nadu are conducted in Tamil language that the petitioner does not understand and faces great difficulty in contesting in the trial. It was also contended that it would be more convenient for the petitioner and for the parties if the criminal matter is also heard in Delhi. Thus, for the sake of convenience, the petitioner wanted transfer of the criminal trial. In the same breath, petitioner contended that there is a distance of 2000 km from Salem, Tamil Nadu to petitioner's place of residence at Indore, Madhya Pradesh, and there is no direct connectivity between two places. Thus, he faces great difficulty in commuting from Indore to Salem. The petitioner also cited the case of Mridul M. Damle vs. CBI 2012 5 SCC 706. In this case, it was held that when a number of witnesses are gravely inconvenienced due to large distance between their place of residence and the place of trial, then there could be deleterious effects on the conduct of the trial, and in such cases a criminal case may be transferred. Lastly, it was contended by the petitioner that the respondents have influence in Salem, and there is apprehension that the petitioner may not get a fair trial at Salem, Tamil Nadu. Now let us understand the grounds that were taken by the respondents to counter the submissions made by the petitioner. The respondents contended that there is a delay by the petitioner in approaching the Supreme Court, as the trial that commenced in the year 2018 has already reached the stage of leading of evidence. As we stated earlier, the trial had progressed substantially and much progress was made in it. Then it was contended by the respondents that the personal appearance of the petitioner in the criminal trial has already been dispensed with by the trial court at Salem, so there is no point in seeking a transfer of the case on the grounds of inconvenience or large distances. The respondents further argued that a criminal case cannot be equated and mixed with a civil case, and there is no bar in law that civil and criminal proceedings cannot go on simultaneously at two different places. Lastly, the respondents cited the case of Umesh Kumar Sharma versus State of Uttarakhand 2020 SCC OnLine SC 845 to argue that the mere apprehension that the petitioner would not get a fair trial at Salem is not enough, and he must bring credible evidence or material to support his contention. No such material or evidence has been brought by the petitioner in the present case. Thus, the respondent prayed that the transfer petition should be dismissed. Now, let us discuss what was held by the court. The court held that even if it is considered that the civil cases would have points which could overlap with those involved in the criminal case, yet the same would not justify the transfer, and two different judicial fora are hearing the civil and criminal cases respectively. Then it was observed by the court that substantial progress has been made in the criminal case. As I stated earlier, it is at the stage of leading of evidence, so it would not be proper to transfer it at this critical juncture. The court also stated that the apprehensions and allegations of the petitioner do not show any unjust influence of the respondents in respect of the criminal case at Salem. Therefore, the petitioner's case of having a possible tainted trial is unfounded. The question of language was also dealt with by the court, and the court observed that problem in understanding the language is in itself not a ground for transfer of a case. It may be a weighing factor when the decision to transfer has already been taken by the court, but per se it cannot be a ground in itself. It was further observed by the court that power under section 406 of CrPC to transfer a case is to be sparingly used and cannot be exercised on mere apprehensions of one of the parties. If the court hearing a case has jurisdiction to hear the matter, then grounds such as unfamiliarity of the language of the court cannot be a ground for transfer. Aid of translator could be sought in this regard. In relation to the argument of the petitioner in relation to convenience, it was observed by the court that convenience of one of the parties cannot be a ground for transfer, and powers under section 406 of CrPC can be exercised only when it is expedient for the ends of justice. The present case is not the one. No case has been made out. According to the court, the case of Mridul M. Damle is of no help to the petitioners, as in that particular case, 88 out of 92 witnesses were from different parts of Maharashtra, and it was difficult for all of them to travel to Delhi. Such is not the case in the present matter. In order to explain the mandate of section 406, the court also cited the case of Rajesh Talwar versus CBI 2012 for SCC 217, wherein it was held that often one of the parties have to travel in a case to reach the court, and if the plea of inconvenience is accepted every time, then the contents of section 406 of CrPC would have no meaning left. It was further stated that, I quote, convenience or inconvenience are inconsequential so far as the mandate of law is concerned. The court ends. Thus, based on all these grounds, the transfer petition was dismissed. So what are my concluding remarks? As the court stated that section 406 of CrPC shall come into effect only when it is expedient for the ends of justice. But what is justice? I think that in terms of section 406 of CrPC, justice would mean anything that does not lead to some serious financial disadvantage, evidence regarding possibility of a mistrial or loss of rights or other such issues to any of the parties. If the mere location of a court is leading to any of the above, then it would not be expedient for the ends of justice to continue the criminal trial at such a place. Suppose a person is hand to mouth and he is asked to travel long distances for which he does not have money. I think that it would be a travesty of justice in such a case, and the case must be transferred in order to do justice to such a person. However, in the present case, the parties were well off. Both of them had engaged senior advocates, and the dispute between them had commercial origins. There was no dearth of money. Further, the petitioner failed to bring on record any evidence that would justify his apprehensions of not having a fair trial. I concur with the reasoning of the court that issues like language and convenience are quite trivial in nature when it comes to transfer of cases. The Code of Criminal Procedure has granted jurisdiction to a particular criminal court to hear and try the matter. Such jurisdiction cannot be taken away so lightly. There must be cogent reasons for doing so. Further, equating civil and criminal cases is never a good idea. Both of them are different courts. They have different grounds, different procedure and different law that governs them. Just because a criminal matter and a civil matter stem from the same subject matter, that by itself cannot mean that a transfer of criminal case to the place of the civil case would be justified. I feel that wealthy parties waste a fortune in contesting such frivolous cases simply because of petty ego issues. I consider such kind of litigation as wasteful, not for the advocates but for the parties themselves. I feel that lack of efficacious and speedy modes of alternate dispute resolution is one of the reasons for litigating for the sake of litigating. So I hope you enjoyed listening to the show. Thank you for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe us. If you have any comments, feel free to make them in the comments section. See you next time. Till then, stay tuned.